Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the Trubal Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
This is the story of Louis Van Schoor, better known as the Apartheid Serial Killer. I have a feeling this is going to be one of my most controversial segments to date since joining the channel. But I think it is truly important that we look at cases like these and evaluate how the justice system treats certain people. This case will make for an interesting case study in terms of accountability, remorse, and forgiveness. This segment will give you a clear understanding of who the apartheid serial killer was, how his story shaped the way we view white people today, and how it essentially shaped the justice system of today in South Africa. Some of your favorite politicians that you view as heroes will be criticized for letting the apartheid killer out of jail. Hello, my name is Reneilwe Morema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News channel, reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. In today's video, we will be talking about Louis Van Schoor, who eventually earned himself the moniker of the Doom Killer, or popularly the Apartheid Killer. Louis Van Schoor is a man who shot more than 100 Black and colored people during his time as a police officer and then later as a security guard during South Africa's apartheid era. Sy brand Jacobus Ludovicus Louis Van Schoor, which is his full name, was born in 1951 in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. The 50s was an incredibly hostile time for South Africans due to the introduction of the racist laws under the apartheid government, and of course this was the time Louis Van Schoor was born and grew up in. These were his formative years. You could easily draw parallels between apartheid South Africa and Nazi Germany because many of the laws were directly influenced by World War II. Van Schoor was a patriotic man. In 1968, at the age of 16, he decided to join the police force where he would serve as a police officer for the next 12.5 years. While working as a police officer, Van Schoor met and married a woman named Beverly who had 3 sons from her previous marriages named Alistair, Lester, and Shane, whom he adopted in 1979 so they can all have the same surname as his. Beverly gave birth to their first daughter, Sabrina, in 1979 November. Sabrina was their first daughter, but Van Schoor will later go on to have 2 more daughters. Sabrina has lived an ironic life. We will speak about her life later in the segment. Despite appearances, this little happy family wasn't so happy after all, with Beverly's sons recounting instances of heated domestic disputes between their mom and their stepdad, Van Schoor. In 1982, with his background in police work, Van Schoor opened his own security company, and security is one of South Africa's biggest industries, which is no surprise when you consider our high crime rate, especially high violent crime rates. This new company boasted the family name. It made them incredibly wealthy and very well known in East London. The same year, Beverly and Van Schoor divorced and Beverly moved to Queenstown with her 4 children. There she took over a security company known as Red Card Security. So now the Van Schoor name is associated with safety and security in the whole of Eastern Cape. I mentioned earlier that Van Schoor had 2 moniker names, one being the Doom Killer and the other being the Apartheid Serial Killer. He's called the Doom Killer because in the line of duty he would use what was known as Doom bullets. These bullets are basically miniature explosives that are designed to explode upon impact with the target to increase the diameter of the bullet and cause further harm than intended. A lot of the white schools and premises and businesses that were protected by Van Schoor's security company were fitted with silent alarms. Whenever these silent alarms would go off, he would go assess the places he protected with a 9mm parabellum, and now, between 1986 and 1989, Van Schoor killed over 39 people. His modus operandi, as I have explained earlier, is responding to the silent alarms at the premises he protected and shoot the intruders with his 9mm parabellum gun that were loaded with doom bullets. Some victims were burglars, but others were innocent bystanders pulled in off the streets. All were black and colored men. Many of the shootings were ruled justifiable homicide by the police. In 1987, an investigation was conducted against Van Schoor as the public was starting to take notice of these killings. The investigation started in 1986, but by the time the investigation concluded in 1987, it was revealed that Van Schoor killed over 26 black people. What is weird is that in a 3-month period before the whole investigations, the coroner had signed 6 death certificates in which Van Schoor was the person responsible for these deaths. But not once did the coroner flag anything to the police. I guess he believed that Van Schoor was just a white security guard doing his job, protecting white businesses against black crime. The 1986-1987 investigation was not the only inquest into his activities, but he was exonerated every single time, despite the black survivors stating that they had been shot while trying to surrender. A police spokesperson at the time described Van Schoor as a bloody, efficient security guard. Witnesses came forward saying Van Schoor would grab innocent black people that were walking down the streets and he would drag them to the white businesses or premises his company was protecting and he would shoot them. But police wouldn't believe their worthless black words over a white policeman with a security company and a rich status in the neighborhood. They never had any chance of getting justice. In fact, Van Schoor never tried to hide any of these shootings. He would report in 1988, a 13-year-old boy and his 14-year-old friend walked into a wimpy restaurant in aims that they will rob that restaurant, but they tripped off the silent alarm that was fitted by Louis Van Schoor's company, and he went over to the wimpy and tried to assess the situation. The boys hid in the bathroom and Van Schoor found them. He told the boys that they should head towards the exit and not look back. That is when he shot one boy in the buttocks and the other boy he fatally shot and he died. Now people are starting to take notice of these patterns that black boys and colored boys are being murdered in their neighborhood, and they're requesting the police to look into this. And the police do indeed find a pattern that this man has been deliberately, or there's a pattern of him killing only black boys and black colored boys and men. Now, in 1989, Van Schoor shot a 16-year-old boy who was suspected of breaking and entering into one of the premises that his company was protecting. So this 16-year-old boy luckily survived the shooting, and he was interviewed by a bunch of lawyers that ran anti-apartheid government regimes, that ran the anti-apartheid organizations. They interviewed this boy and they saw a pattern that, okay, no, we have a pattern where this man is deliberately killing unarmed black boys and colored boys, black boys men and colored boys men. So in 1989, I think this is the straw that broke the camel's back. In 1989, he shot and killed a 16-year-old boy who was suspected to be a burglar entering into a meat factory owned by Francois Antebellum. Yes, Francois Antebellum. Now, this killing rang the alarm, and the police arrested him right there and then. See, the reason why Louis Van Schoor did not get arrested easy, or his crimes were not flagged at the police station besides his former colleagues protecting him. The white people that he protected their businesses, obviously he protected white premises, he supported or protected white businesses and schools. So the owners of those businesses felt like his methods were really working, and even using them as methods to advertise for his businesses. So if other security companies or other white people wanted to open security companies, they would use the Van Schoor method to advertise their security agencies. So white people really supported him because they thought his method really worked, and the crime rate in the white areas dramatically reduced. Now, Van Schoor's trial, after he was arrested in 1989, Van Schoor's trial began in 1991, and he was found guilty of all murders that he was charged of. So many of the shootings were ruled justifiable homicide by the police, but in 1982, Van Schoor was convicted of 7 murders and sentenced to 20 years in jail. He was released in 2004 after serving just 12 years of his 20-year sentence. And in 2015, he did an interview where he showed that he had no remorse, and indeed he shot at least 100 people, but he can't argue with that as he did not remember. This is his murders were justifiable. He still sees no harm, or he still sees no wrongdoing in his methods. Now, here is a plot twist. His daughter Sabrina was friends with black people in the neighborhood. He loved black people, he loved colored people. She fell pregnant with a colored man's child, which her mother did not approve of, because her mother was also a racist person. The mother did not approve of this. The mother forced her to have an abortion. The second time, she went on to have a baby with a colored man. So this mother was like, you know what? I can't force my daughter to have any more abortions. Van Schoor was like, you know what, Sabrina is an old woman. She's a grown woman. She can make her decisions. Don't force her into an abortion. That is how Beverly, or Van Schoor's ex-wife, was convinced to let Sabrina keep this colored child. But once this child was born, Sabrina was a doting grandmother. Loved the grandchild, but she enforced Sabrina to acknowledge that her grandchild was indeed white. She would go on to tell the neighbors that this baby is white. Look at her curly hair. But we all know that colored people have white resemblance there and there. They have curly hair, they have soft hair. So she forced Sabrina to acknowledge that this baby was white. The abuse went on. It is revealed that Beverly did indeed abuse Sabrina racially, made her feel like crap for having a baby of a colored person, made the baby feel like crap as well. It looks like there was some racial tension within the home. The baby also suffered abuse under Beverly because the baby was now turning into a colored person. The white genes were slowly dissolving. Now, Sabrina, being tired of these racial tensions at home, she hired a black man to come murder her mother in her sleep. And this is so ironic. Sabrina's father hated black men, hated colored men, killed colored men for a living. And here it is revealed that down the line, his daughter hired a black man to kill his ex-wife, to kill the mother of his children. So she hired a man called Muduntsani. It is revealed that in 2002, in a gruesome twist, Van Schoor's daughter Sabrina hired a black man to kill her mother because she considered her a racist bully. Sabrina, then 22, arranged the murder of her mother, Beverly Van Schoor, a prominent Komani Queenstown businesswoman who owned security companies, just like her ex-husband. She hired that black man because of years of verbal, physical abuse at her mother's hands, as well as her disapproval of Sabrina's black friends. As the hitman Feza Muduntsani killed Beverly with a bread knife, Sabrina waited in her bedroom with her baby. She paid Muduntsani with cash, her car keys, and her mother's phone. Detectives tracked Mudunzani's down using the phone signal. I guess Mudunzani was stupid enough to use Beverly's phone wherever he was, and the police managed to track it down. And it was at that moment that Mudunzani confessed that Sabrina has indeed hired him to kill her mother, Beverly. Now a convicted murder, Sabrina was sent to the same prison her father was in. So a journalist named Jacobson of the BBC interviewed Sabrina in the women's section of the prison, and she also met Van Schoor in the men's quarters before he was released. How poetic is that? This is ironic. How ironic is that? So Beverly died at the hands of people she hated, thanks to her daughter Sabrina. Now, here is where it gets a little bit tricky, and here it gets a bit personal for me. I feel like, black people were robbed here, but hey, it really gets tricky. So, Van Schoor was released in 2004. I wrote it down here. I said, in 2004, thanks to an amnesty, Van Schoor was granted special parole by none other than Nelson Mandela. He was just one of many people whose sentences were reduced dramatically due to the amnesty. A lot of people that were sentenced just before the fall of the apartheid government got amnesty. They were either released from prison or they got their sentences dramatically reduced. Now, in 2016, Van Schoor became the director and a beneficiary of a multi-billion rand dairy farm. This dairy farm was a project that was intended to uplift black people, or should I say black people that are interested in the agricultural sector, to empower themselves, to open their own farms, to plant their own farms. Just basically, if you're a black person and you are interested in agriculture, this dairy farm project was meant to fund you. So Van Schoor became a director and a direct beneficiary of that project, and his position was approved by none other than the Department of Agriculture of South Africa. I just feel like a lot of black people are being failed by this current government that aims to, marginalize black people into worse poverty state, but also award white people for their mediocrity, award people for their atrocious crimes back in the apartheid era, just simply because they are white. A lot of people lost their lives under Van Schoor. A lot of people lost their family members. A lot of futures were ruined thanks to this man, and now the Department of Arts and Culture wants to reward him. In a documentary now shot by BBC titled The Apartheid Killer, I read somewhere in this newspaper article that I just bought because I was just so intrigued about this story. I didn't even know that there was someone called the Apartheid Serial Killer. So in this documentary, the journalist asked him what he wants to be remembered as, and these are his exact words. I don't want to mince any word. I want to say it word for word. When asked in the documentary about how he wants to be remembered, Van Schoor is a peaceful person. In this documentary, the journalist continued to talk and interview some victims or the family of the victims, and one in particular stood out for me where he said, his name is Raymond. When the interviewer asked him how this impacted his life, he says that growing up, there were many nights he slept outside in the cold and in the dark, and often went to bed without food, and he struggled a lot. So Van Schoor had a better future thanks to this man who ruined it for them before it could begin. And I feel like this documentary also shows that the psychotic mindset of the killers in general, this killer, because a lot of killers in the apartheid era would have died without telling us their point of view, without telling us their truths, without telling us where their mind was at, without giving the family's victim closure. So this documentary serves as closure to those victims. So shout out to BBC for going all out with this story and showcasing and showing us what the apartheid killer was thinking at that point, to show us what a monster he is, a monster that is not even remorseful for his actions. I am angry. I am really angry. I think you can tell by that. I never thought that this story would impact me like that. I mean, you know, these killers, I'm trying, like this documentary shows me, it's making me want to understand where their mindset is at. And there's no understanding because at the end of the day, a killer is a killer. What do you think about this segment? Comment to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking conversations right here on the African Diaspora News channel.